Good morning, students. Welcome to the lecture of Real Analysis 2 live lecture. In the last lecture, we have started our unit number 3 called as Lebesgue integral. Before that, we have recalled the concepts of Riemann integration. What is Riemann integration? An integration given by a mathematician, Bernhard Riemann. Okay, he has given this integration with the help of two sums, upper sum and lower sum. But basically, this is for only for the functions which are bounded, and this integration is defined only on the closed interval. Therefore, actually, one can assume these are the restrictions on the Riemann integration. Therefore, what Lebesgue has thought to generalize this integration for either bounded or unbounded functions, and instead of the closed interval, he has tried to thought to define the integration on an arbitrary set. These are the concepts of Riemann integration we are familiar with. Then we have started the Lebesgue integration concept by first finding the Lebesgue integration of the characteristic function. Actually, this first point we were going to find out the Lebesgue integrations of bounded functions over the set of finite major. This is the particular case we are studying. Okay. First function we have taken is a characteristic function. Whether characteristic function is a bounded function or not?
Yes, ma'am.
And what is its major? If it is defined on a measurable set, we can say this is a measurable set, right? Now, therefore, we know this is the definition, okay? And this is what the reason I have explained you why the definition of Lebesgue integration of the characteristic function is given by integration chi e equal to measure of it. Actually, if e we will take as the closed interval ab, and if we just plot this characteristic function, then integration chi e is nothing but the value of length of this interval. Okay. Now, from the set E as a closed interval 2, we want to generalize it for any arbitrary set. And for this, we know very well that this length concept was generalized to outer major and then to Lebesgue major. Okay. Therefore, here we were defining the Lebesgue integration of the characteristic function chi e as measure of it. Length of E2, we have replaced it by measure of it. Okay. Then next, second we have seen is a simple function. What is a simple function? Simple function is defined on the measurable set having a finite values, or one can write it as finite linear combination of the characteristic functions of measurable set. This is what a linear combination of the characteristic function, but we can easily observe this presentation is not unique. Why it is not unique? Because whatever these AIs selected are not distinct, and that's why EIs are actually those elements in the domain having the image EI. Therefore, as AIs are not distinct, these EIs are not disjoint. Okay, so what the concept we have introduced here? We have introduced a concept of the set AI in which we are collecting those elements of domain having the image as AI. Having the image as AI. This is what a representation I have shown. Therefore, here, as I am collecting AIs are the elements of the image set of the function phi, these elements we will be selecting as distinct, and the corresponding underlined sets AI of the domain are disjoint. And that's why this is known as the canonical representation of the simple function and is unique also, right? And then later, as characteristic integration of this characteristic function is measure of E, if I take integration of phi on both the sides of this canonical representation, what will happen? Integration phi will be integration summation ai into chi of ai, right now? But we know integration summation can be interchangeable, therefore this can be written as integration ai into, sorry, summation ai into integration chi of ai. But integration chi of ai is nothing but measure of ai. Therefore, how we were defining this Lebesgue integration of the simple function? By a definition, summation I equals to 1 to n ai into measure of ai. Okay. Nice example we have seen on this in order to understand the integration. Similarly, this example which we have proved that this is not Lebesgue not Riemann integrable, but we have proved it as Lebesgue integrable and the value is 0. Okay. And then we were proving one lemma. What the lemma says that whenever this simple function is written as this a linear combination of the characteristic function where EIs are pairwise disjoint, but EIs are pairwise disjoint, but there is no restriction for AIs. AIs are distinct or not. Okay, but still the integration of the simple function is represented by or given by summation AI into measure of AI. Okay, so here AIs are not necessarily distinct. Therefore, whatever is this presentation given is not unique or not canonical also. No? You can say this is not canonical. Because canonical is unique, no?
Yes, ma'am.
Canonical is unique. Okay. So what we were doing, the idea for proving this lemma is, okay, what is the idea I told you? With an example, suppose there are some 30 elements. Okay. Some of them are not equal. That's why we have clubbed those elements together, which has same values, and we have given the notation, say B1, say B2, and likewise. Therefore, these images of 5 becomes distinct, and then the corresponding underlined sets, or that is the subsets of domain, that is pre-images of A1, which is E1, pre-image of A3 is E3, pre-image set of this A7 is E7. We were going to club it together also. So whatever is this new set, I am going to write as A1. With this structure or with this methodology, the elements becomes distinct and the sets becomes disjoint, so that the presentation becomes the canonical presentation, right? Therefore, what is the set A1? If I collect set A1 to be the elements of the domain X such that 5 images B1, means we were collecting these 3 pre-images of A1, of A3 and of A7, which is the union. This is what an idea we were using in the proof. Okay, so we have started the proof writing phi to be a simple function and defined on the measurable sets EI, and union EI we have written to be E for the sake of convenience. Then we have started with an element A to be the image set of Y. Whenever I am writing the image set of Y, what is the nature of element in this set? All the elements should be distinct. Correct now? All the elements are distinct. Therefore, I am going to collect the set AA is the collection of the elements in the domain such that whose phi image is A. Whose phi image is A. With this procedure, whatever AI we will collect are distinct, whatever AIs we are selecting are distinct, and the corresponding underlined p-image set AA becomes disjoint. Okay. Therefore, if I write a simple function in terms of A and AA, may I say it becomes a canonical representation. Therefore, the
Yes, ma'am.
canonical representation phi of a simple function we were writing as summation A into chi AA. Or in terms of parameter, if I want to write, this is summation AI into chi AAI, right? Where what is AA? What is AA? A is union of all those EI where AI takes value A. Likewise, this no AA where AI takes a value B1. Na? A1 is B1, A3 is B1, A7 is B1. Likewise, we were collecting those elements which takes the value AI equals to A. Right? Because in the proof we have not renamed those values. Right? That's why AA can be written as union EI for all AI equal to A. Or if I wanted to write in terms of AIs, then AAI is equals to union EJ where AJ takes the value AI. To try to understand this notation, please. Okay. And then what is the measure of AIs we have written? Measure of AAI is measure of union EJ. All EJs are disjoint, therefore is equal to measure of summation measure of EI. Now the last step we have left incompleted in the lecture. Let me just complete. Let me find out integration phi. What is integration phi then? According to the definition, this is AI into measure of AAI. Is it okay? Summation is running over I. Correct now? Why it is so? Because this is what a representation we have written. Canonical representation. But according to the Revit measure definition, this is AI into measure of this corresponding underlined set AAI, right? This is what I have written. But what is measure of AAI? We have. Yes. What is this measure of AAI we have written? Sorry, here it is J. This is summation. Yes.
AJ is equal to AI.
AI measure of EJ.
EI.
EJ. Whenever the AJ takes a value AI, we were writing this as EI. Now, if I run up the summation over this term AJ, okay, whenever AJ takes value AI, what will this measure becomes? Is it measure of AI now? Sorry, measure of EI. Right now? Let me run up
Yes,
the sum. This sum is running over J actually. AJ means J. Now let me run the sum, and if I run the sum, it becomes AJ equal to AI. So the corresponding EJ becomes EI. And finally, when I get it, actually this is in terms of sum of EI, sum of MEI. But if I multiply by AI, it will finally give us AI into measure of EI. This together gives me AI into measure of EI over I, and we know I is running from 1 to n from the starting itself. For finally, it is giving us integration phi is equals to AI into measure of EI. Thus, what we have proved, though we write the representation of phi as a simple function as summation AI into chi EI. This is not canonical representation, but still the integration is found with summation AI into measure of EI. Yes, any difficulty with this proof?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
Okay, therefore lemma says that though it is canonical or not, still it gives you the same definition for integration. Okay, now let me come to the today's lecture. In today's lecture, we were first going to understand some prepositions regarding integrations of simple function. Okay, and what the proposition tells us? Proposition tells us an idea about integration of linear combination of simple function is linear combination of the respective integrations. That is some operations of simple function. We are going to study in this lecture. Okay, let me write the proposition. Actually, this proposition is true for Riemann integration. Now we were proving it similarly for the Lebesgue integration, but only for simple function. So let me take two simple functions, say phi and psi, be two simple functions. Two simple functions which vanishes outside a set of finite measure. What is the meaning of this statement? Vanishes outside the set of finite measure means it takes a value
Complement.
0. Complement means
कॉम्प्लिमेंट मध्ये 0 येतात वाणी.
0. Yes, function phi set takes value 0 outside whatever the set E of finite measure, right? No, that is on E complement, correct. Okay, outside of set of finite measure E I will write. Okay, then prove that. 2 points it is asked us to prove. First is integration A phi plus B psi. We wanted to prove as in A into integration phi plus B into integration psi. That is integration of linear combination of two functions is linear combination of the respective integration. Second is whenever phi greater equal by psi almost everywhere, then prove that integration phi is greater equal by integration psi. These are the 2 points we wanted to prove. Whether these two properties are true for Riemann integration or not.
Yes, ma'am.
And for Riemann integration, it is true for any arbitrary bounded function. But in Lebesgue integration, we are proving only true for simple function. Right now, let us prove. Now, why we were proving for simple functions initially? Because here this structure gives us the criteria of finding the Lebesgue integration of simple function. Right? Now, let us use this structure in order to prove the given proposition. That is, we will try to express both the simple functions phi and psi in terms of canonical, and then we will find out the canonical or the representation of this linear combination as well, and then we will try to prove it is equal to the right hand. Okay, step 1 I will write. What we wanted to prove in this step 1, integration a phi plus b psi is equal to a integration phi plus b integration psi. Now, as phi and psi are the two functions, can I write the canonical representation? We know that phi and psi are simple functions. Okay, so let us write the canonical representation. For the first, let me write I equals to 1 to m alpha I into chi ai. Okay, and for psi, I will write summation I equals to 1 to n beta j into chi bj. Be the canonical representation of phi and psi on a set of finite measure. We were discussing everything on finite measure set, okay? We were not discussing for the not finite measure sets, okay? Now, what we were writing, phi and psi be the canonical representation. And what we wanted to find, actually we wanted to find the linear combination of these two. But before finding the linear combination, what I will do, I will try to consider the union of these two canonical representations. Sorry, a union of these two underlined sets, AIs and BJs. Okay, so that it will help me to find out the linear combination A phi plus B psi. Correct? Because if I write directly A phi plus B psi, what we will get? A alpha I plus chi ai plus B beta j chi beta j. And it will be difficult for us to proceed because these are the different parameters. Therefore, what is the job actually to instead of having the two different sums on two different parameters, we will try to make it one. And for that, we were writing the set E as. Then, okay, E. Okay, what is E we have written? What will be E for the function phi? With this canonical representation, what is my E under the consideration? Is it union AI? Somewhere I have written previously also. Yes, here. If phi is a simple function on E, then this E is union EI, no?
Yes, ma'am.
Now here what this E will be? I have taken the underlined sets as AI. Therefore, can I write this is union AI? I runs from 1 to, sorry, I wanted to write 0 to M actually. Why 0? Let me just, okay. First I will write I equals to 0 to M and then I will write what is A naught. And E is union Bj, J equals to 0 to N. Now the question arises, what is the values of A naught and B naught? No? Where A naught and B naught be the sets on which phi and psi takes 0 value. Be the sets where phi and psi are 0 respectively. Okay. Therefore, A1 to AM are the sets of finite measure on which phi exists. That of A naught be the set on which phi is having a zero value. Therefore, a naught is not going to play any role in simple function phi. Right now?
Yes, ma'am.
Similarly for this function psi as well. Right? Now, what I'm going to write, I want to club these two sets together. For this, let me just write E as intersection of these two. See, E, I can write E intersection E. Is it okay?
Yes,
Now,
ma'am.
once I replace this first E by union AI, intersected with this second E, I will replace with union BG. Try to understand what we were doing and why we were doing. We were doing this just to club the sets together. And why we wanted to club it together? Because finally we wanted to take the linear combination of these two simple functions. That is linear combination of these two summations. Okay. Therefore, E is union AI. I runs from 0 to N. N or M, I think I have changed it again. M, N, right. So this is M, N. Here it is M. This is M. This is N. Correct, na? M in both finite values actually. Correct, na? For simple function I, we have assumed M values. For simple function psi, we have assumed N values. For union M, for AI, union up to N for B. Okay, how this intersection is being evaluated? May I write this as union AI intersection BJ, where summation runs on both the parameters I and J. Both the parameters I and J, where I takes value up to M, J takes value up to N. Therefore, what should be the upper limit? Upper limit will be whichever the value maximum among these two, right now?
Yes,
M is
ma'am.
maximum or N is maximum. That is, say, if M takes 5 and N takes 7, and if I wanted to run the sum over this, then what will be my this upper limit out of the
7.
two? 7. Okay. Because after 5, there is no M. And then only B will act. No, B6 and B7 will act. There is no A6 and A7. Therefore, if the sets do not exist, there is no point to take the intersection. So whichever maximum we will take up to that point. Okay. Therefore, I'll just write this AI intersection BJ to be a new set, say EK. To be a new set, say EK. What will be a lower limit for I and J both? 0, na?
Yes, ma'am.
No. Therefore, here the first set will be A0 intersection B0. Therefore, the set I will call E0. Therefore, here whatever K I have taken will start from 0 to some say L. Wait. What is EK we were defining? AI intersection BJ. Right now? Therefore, this E we have written in terms of another set EK. We have written for in terms of another sets EK. K runs from 0 to N. Okay, this L is not necessarily the maximum actually. It may be bigger than that also. Okay. Now E is K equal to 0 to L EK. This is what a representation we have made. Now, what about this collection? Whether this collection is disjoint? Because AI and BJs are disjoint. If AIs and BJs are a disjoint collection of measurable sets, then may I say EK is also a disjoint collection of measurable sets?
Yes, ma'am.
Since AI and BJ are disjoint collection of measurable sets, disjoint collection of measurable sets. Therefore, EK is also disjoint collection of measurable sets. Whether this collection is of measurable sets or not,
Yes, ma'am.
why? Yes, why it is measurable? Why every EK is measurable? This AI's BJs are measurable, no? And what is
Intersection
intersection
is
of?
measurable.
Good. Intersection of measurable sets. Okay. Now I will try to write a simple function phi instead of this AI combination. Now I will try to write in terms of a new combination. Therefore, now I am going to write phi as summation k equal to 0 to L a k into chi e k. Similarly, psi we will write summation k equals to 0 to L b k into chi e k. What we have made then? We have represented whatever the two different sums over two different parameters with the help of two different sets. We have represented with same set ek over the same parameter k. Now it will be easier for me to take the linear combination. Hence, what I am going to consider now? A5 plus B psi. What will be A5 plus B psi? It will be easy for us to take a linear combination now, right? Now, what this linear combination can I write directly to be summation k equal to 0 to L AAK plus BBK into chi EK. Okay? KK, okay, I'm asking. This is what a representation of the simple function of the function a5 plus b psi. A5 plus b psi. Now, what we wanted to do next step, let us take the integration. A5 plus b psi. What will be the integration? What will be the change on the right side? Summation runs as it is. This term A.
Integration.
But how the integration is defined? Only this chi k is replaced by
Measure of
measure
EK.
of ek. Chi k is replaced by measure of ek. Now look at the right side. What we wanted to prove this as a integration phi plus b integration psi. To do this, what should I do actually? I'll just separate the sum. Right? I have just separated the sum. Now what is this first summation? AK into measure of EK.
Integration phi.
Yes, this is integration phi plus b into integration psi. Therefore, we have proved the first step. Integration a phi plus b psi is a integration phi plus b integration psi. Try to understand this middle steps only. I'll just drop this part. L is not maximum, okay na? Understood why? Shall I explain with example again? Suppose m takes a value 2, n takes a value 3. What kind of intersection it will be? All ij runs, all ij combinations we have to consider. Therefore, first I'll take I from 1 to 2 and j takes values 1, 2 and 3. Okay. And how many for this I equal to 1, how many j's will be there? 3 j's will be there. For I equals to 2, there are 3 j's. Therefore, how many combinations will be there in all? 6 combinations, no?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Will I write the combinations, possible combinations? first I equal to 1, A1 intersection B1, then A1 intersection B2, then A1 intersection B3. This is the first combination. Then for I equal to 2, A2 intersection B1, A2 intersection B2. What one more is A2 intersection B3. Right now? 6 combinations. Therefore, JL one can consider to be the product MN. Therefore, it was written to be some L, where EK is some AI intersection BJ. Actually, how to give this parameters is actually difficult. Na? These are the 6 combinations. How you are going to give 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to this? Okay. 1 you can call, say, E1. 1 2 you can call, say, E2. Right? 1 3, A1, B3, let me call E3. Then let us start this, let this be E4, A2, B1. And let this be E5. And the last be E6. Likewise, we were naming. And that's why in general we have denoted this with K. EK is AI intersection BJ. I hope the point is clear.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and why we have made this intersection? Just to take the linear combination of these two simple functions. Actually, the two simple functions are defined over different sets, AIs and BJs, and over different parameters with different upper limits as well. That's why just to make the linear combination, we have clubbed it together. And then finally, we have written this to be in terms of EKs. And then the proof will be easier for us. Fine. Any doubt with the first step?
No, ma'am.
Now let me go for the second step. What we wanted to prove in the second step? If phi greater equal by psi almost everywhere. What is the meaning of almost everywhere? What is almost everywhere?
It does not hold for finite set whose measure will be 0.
Not for finite. Only for the set of measure 0.
Yes,
It may be
ma'am.
empty also, na? It may be countable also. It may be finite also. So we should not use the word finite set. What we should say, the property do not hold on a set of measure 0. Okay. To prove this, we were taking the help of the previous step. Okay. In the previous step, what I will do, I will put the value of A as 1 and B as -1 in above step. What will happen if I do so? Integration A phi means phi, B psi means minus psi will be, yes, integration phi minus integration psi. Correct now?
Yes,
Now
ma'am.
why I have taken this? Because we wanted to prove this result. No, integration phi greater equal by integration psi. Therefore, it will be sufficient for me to prove this difference is greater equal by 0. This difference is greater equal by 0. Right? Therefore, this I have written. Let me call it as 1. Now, what is given to us? Phi is greater equal by psi almost everywhere. Therefore, can I write phi minus psi is greater equal by 0 almost everywhere?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, if the function is non-negative, what about their integration? Whatever integration you take, Riemann you take, Lebesgue you take.
Non-negative.
Non-negative. For integration, phi minus psi is non-negative. Okay. No need to write almost everywhere, no, because this is not a statement, this is the value. Now it becomes a scalar quantity. This is a statement, this is a scalar quantity. Therefore, no need to write almost everywhere. Therefore, integration phi minus psi becomes non-negative. And what is integration phi minus psi we have written? Integration phi minus integration psi. Okay, and that's why we can write integration phi is greater equal by integration psi. Hence the proof. Yes, any difficulty in this proposition?
No, ma'am.
Okay, very good. Now we will proceed further with a note. In this note, we were claiming the integration of a simple function. Actually, integration of simple function we have claimed in two parts. If it is a canonical representation, then also we have written, and if we remove one condition on the canonical, let me just repeat. If I am writing summation ai into chi of ei, okay, in this ais are not distinct, okay, or not necessarily, I can write, not necessarily distinct, and eis are not necessarily disjoint. Then we wanted to find what is the integration. Let us just recall the preposition we have seen in the last lecture. For the definition of canonical representation, if ai is distinct, small ai is distinct, capital Ai's are disjoint, the integration is given by ai into measure of ai. Lemma we have proved is, if the underlined sets are disjoint and AIs are not necessarily distinct, then we have given AI into measure of AI. Now we are removing this condition also. Let us remove this condition of disjoint also and check what will be the integration. Correct now? The note says that AIs are not necessarily distinct, EIs are also not necessarily disjoint. Then what is the integration? We were discussing what is the integration. First, let me run up the sum. What the sum says that a1 into chi e1, a2 into chi e2, so on up to an into chi en. Means it is the linear combination of characteristic functions,
Yes, ma'am.
whether characteristic functions are simple functions or not. Yes, they
Yes,
are
ma'am.
simple functions defined on measurable set, no doubt. Okay, now in order to find the integration, let me use the previous preposition we have proved. That linear combination of integration of linear combination of simple function is linear combination of their respective integration. Therefore, what is the integration here? What is the integration here now?
A1 integration chi E1.
A1 integration chi E1 added with A2 into integration chi E2, so on up to an into integration chi En. But what are the integrations of these characteristic functions?
Measure of E1, measure of E2.
Of E1 plus A2 into integration chi E2 is measure of E2 added with an into integration chi of En is measure of En. So finally what we have obtained is it summation ai into measure of ei. Okay. So what we have proved, for any representation, for any representation, there is no restriction on AIs and EIs also. For any representation of a simple function phi, simple function phi, the integration is given with same formula, right? No? लक्षात येते का बघा, पहिल्यांदा डेफिनेशन बघितली होती इंटिग्रेशन ऑफ सिंपल फंक्शन. त्याच्यात काय बघितलं होतं, AI इंटू मेजर ऑफ AI कॅनॉनिकलला. नंतर एक कंडिशन रिलॅक्स केली, AI इज नॉट नेसेसरी डिस्टिंक्ट, तरी सुद्धा इंटिग्रेशन त्याच फॉर्म्युलाने दिलं, समेशन AI इंटू मेजर ऑफ AI. आता EI डिस्जॉइंट ही पण कंडिशन रिलॅक्स करू, तरी सुद्धा इंटिग्रेशन त्याच फॉर्म्युलाने दिलं. ओके, व्हॉट वी आर क्लेमिंग, फॉर एनी रिप्रेझेंटेशन whether AIs are distinct, EIs are disjoint or not, integration of the simple function is given with this formula only. Is that clear? Note is clear to everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, let us move ahead to find out the Lebesgue integration of a bounded function, any bounded function. Lebesgue integral of any bounded function. In the previous section, we have seen the Lebesgue integration of bounded function, but for the particular case. Which two particular cases we have seen? Characteristic and simple function.
Simple one.
Now we are moving towards an arbitrary function. Okay. Now there is one important preposition we wanted to prove, but before the preposition, let me make the base. Okay. Let f be a bounded function. Let f be a bounded function. If f is the bounded function, can I find two more bounded functions such that phi less equal by f less equal by psi, and these two are simple. What is the job now we are doing? As f is any function, any bounded function. Okay. For this f, the job is to find out two simple functions phi and psi such that this relation holds. Phi less equal by f less equal by psi. What is the meaning of the statement? Phi of x less equal by f of x less equal by psi of x for all x in the domain E. No doubt these functions are defined on the same domain. Okay. Now the question is, we were just following Riemann integration method. The question is, we were just following the Riemann integration method. What is the Riemann integration method tells us? Okay, before Riemann integration, if I have this kind of relation, phi less equal by f less equal by phi, what about their integrations?
Same relation.
Same relation is going to hold. That is integration phi less equal by integration psi, f less equal by integration psi. Okay, now we wanted to find out when this integration f exists. We wanted to find when this integration f exists. Wait a minute. I don't know why this painter is giving me a trouble. Okay, let it be. What I wanted to tell you is, with this relation phi less equal by f less equal by psi, what about the respective integration? Integration phi less equal by integration f less equal by integration psi. Okay, therefore this integration psi works actually like an upper sum for integration f. Correct? This integration phi, I think it is working. Yes. Integration phi less equal by integration f less equal by integration psi. Now, whatever is this integration psi we were writing now, this works as the upper sum. I am not saying exactly. Works like upper sum. This works like upper sum. Okay, and what about this integration phi? This works
Lower
like,
sum.
yes, this works like lower sum. Okay, if it works like lower sum, what we have found For the lower sum, what kind of structure we have found for Riemann integration? Suprema or infima? We have found suprema, no? Suprema of the lower sums. Right now, therefore here also, now we were trying to find out suprema of integration phi. Suprema of integration phi whenever f is greater or equal by phi. We stop working again. Okay. And what for this integration psi I have to find out then? If it works like
Infimum.
upper sum, yes, it is to be infimum. Right now, then when this integration f will hold, what do you think? Both the suprema and infima is going to be same. Right?
Yes, ma'am.
If these two same, that is supremum phi, provided phi less equal by f, and infimum integration psi, provided psi is greater equal by f. If these two are becoming equal, then one can say that integration f holds. Then one can say that integration f holds. Okay. Now, the first lemma we were going to prove is, okay, the first lemma we were going to prove is supremum integration phi is equal to infimum integration psi holds if and only if f is measurable. If and only if f is measurable. But later we were saying that f is integral, that f is integrable whenever this condition holds again. Supremum phi is equal to infimum integration psi. Therefore, one can say indirectly that for the integrability of measurability is necessary and sufficient condition. Integrability of f, for the integrability of f, measurability of f is the necessary and sufficient condition. Why? Why you think like this? Because the whole discussion is on the measurable sets only. The whole discussion is on the measurable sets only. Okay? Therefore, we will stop here for today's lecture. In the next lecture, we will prove this lemma that the function is measurable if and only if supremum integration phi is equal to infimum integration psi. Okay? Let me stop for today. If you have any queries, any difficulties, you can ask me. Yes? If you have any queries, you can ask. It seems there are no queries. Shall I stop it? Thank you for being with me for the today's lecture. Thank you.